Communication is an exchange of information, ideas and feelings between two or more people. Our senses are the principal channel for this process, which include vision, smell, touch and sound. These channels gives us the information about the environment around us and we send messages through these senses. The sound of a slammed door, banging of a pans in a kitchen, humming, giggling or frowning can tell us many things about people around us without using words. In short, communication does not mean spoken language only. It includes variety of ways by which a person gets connected with other people. We know that children with deaf blindness have varying degrees of vision and hearing impairment. Each child is unique and different from one another in terms of learning ability, extent of sensory impairment and learning style. Thus, every child with deaf blindness or visual impairment with additional disabilities has a different way or style of communication. For requesting more food at lunchtime, one child may sign for more food, another may touch the vessels of rice, another one may look at the rice and the teacher, another child may pull the vessel, still another one may cry and indicate the need for more food. All of them are communicating the same basic need, more food, yet at so many different levels of communication. The child's earliest communicative behavior patterns are pre-intentional. They are produced unintentionally and he is not aware of their effects. Some of the ways in which the child may communicate in these earlier stages are facial expression, vocalization, change in muscle tone, arm, leg and hand movements. Later, around 6 months, most of the movements, expressions and sounds become intentional. The child produces them knowingly to achieve something. The example of intentional communications are touching or manipulating others, assuming the positions, pointing it, vocalizing for attention, pushing things away, natural gestures, showing aggression like biting, pinching and throwing the things. As they grow older, they start making use of symbolic language which involves spoken or written language, labels and logos, pictures and three-dimensional objects. In children growing typically, these basic communication skills get nurtured, groomed or modified and changed incidentally during their interaction with others. Children with deaf blindness, on the other hand, do not have the security and motivation to move around and interact with people and objects in their environment. The information they receive about their environment is also distorted and interferes with their interaction with others. Thus, they often remain isolated and passive and they face the challenge of having very little opportunity to acquire communicational skills incidentally. They need some kind of intervention in order to be able to connect with their environment successfully. The degree and kind of intervention needed would vary from child to child. With a suitable intervention program, however, all these children can acquire varying degrees of communication skills. The earlier this intervention starts, the easier it is for the child to learn, not only in the area of communication but in other areas too, as communication provides a basis for all learning. When the mother picks up the baby in response to her cry and comforts her, the baby instantly trusts the mother, gets attached to her, and a relationship begins. This is bonding, which is the most important skill to be developed and the foundation for future communication development and learning. For bonding to take place, it is important to be physically close and comforting. Hold, touch, cuddle and gently stroke your baby frequently, even if there is no visible response from him. There are babies, however, who are sensitive to certain types of touch or who are uncomfortable if touched all the time. Do it the way he tolerates and enjoy. Keep your mouth close to his cheeks and sing or speak softly. Play little body games with him like tickle games, finger games, clapping games, games which involve touching nose, ears and so on. Peek-a-boo or anything that the child enjoys. Talk to him in a baby language as you would do to a normal baby. Feel along with him toys or objects used in the household. Functional objects that he uses or other family members use like comb, toothbrush, hairband, watch or jewelry. Help him to go over things with your hands, touching his hands without being over constraining. Gentle massage is a good bonding medium. Talk smoothly while massaging, naming different body parts while massaging also helps in developing body awareness. Do not use strong smelling oil or lotion. It may cause discomfort in some children and may be harmful for children who get seizures. All this simple strategy will give the child the sense of security required to establish trusting relationship with others. He will also be more motivated to move around and interact with the people and objects around. Any social interaction involves give and take between two people. One person starts an interaction and the other person responds. The first person then again does or says something while the other waits for his turn and thus it goes on. So, taking turns and waiting for one's turn is required in all social exchanges. Involving a child in a turn-taking game thus teaches him the first rule of conversation. By imitating the child's behavior, we attract his attention and invite him to participate in a back and forth game. Imitation thus helps in starting and maintaining a turn-taking game. Imitating the vocalization pattern. Start a vocal play by imitating the child's vocalization pattern. When the child says da da da, you also say da da da. Or if the child clicks his tongue, you also produce the same sound. Imitating the movement pattern like tapping, clapping or shaking, etc. During classroom, or play include activities like stacking blocks, removing pegs, dropping marbles in a box, jumping on a trampoline, going on a slide, or anything that the child enjoys. Children with visual impairment often enjoy turn-taking games that provide movement. An example could be row, 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 row your boat type of game which involves pulling each other by turn. While eating, especially while eating finger food, washing hands and so on, we can have some fun by taking turns. Anticipation is simply the knowledge of what comes next. When the child begins to understand what is going to happen next, where he is going, who is going to be with him, what is he is going to do, and so on, then he is better prepared for the next event. He does not feel threatened when others approach him and is ready to interact with them. Gradually, he even starts showing some choices. For an example, if he understands that he is going to be fed, he might open his mouth if he is hungry or turn his head away if he does not want food. While using touch and tactile cues, touch or tactile cues are the cues made directly in contact with the child's body. It involves touching the child's body in a certain way for a particular activity. For some examples are, to gentle tap on the lips means he is going to have food. Stroking the feet means shoes have to be put on. A gentle rub or pressure or a tug under the upper arm means he is going to be picked up. A gentle pressure on the child's shoulder means sit down. These touch clues should be made immediately before an action or activity, or in the same way each time by each person who interact with the child, in distinctively different ways for different activities, in a way that the child gets some time to respond before the action takes place, keeping the child's individual likes and comforts in mind. If the tap on the lips appears to be too startling for him or the rub under arms too confusing, then we need to change the cues. Things should happen in the same order every day. If every day it is swimming after story time, then the child begins to anticipate swimming. He may even take out his swimming trunk from the cupboard on his own after the story is over. Keep the furniture and objects in his environment and his own belongings like shoes, bag, toys, the chair or the mat that he uses at the same places. Do not change them frequently. Have fixed areas or a corners or a rooms for different activities such as bathing, eating, playing, sleeping and listening to music and so on. If the child eats at the same place every day, then he would know that he would have food when he is taken there. We, however, need to help them learn to use not only the sense of touch but all the other senses too. If the child is consistently given multisensory experience and receives sensory cues of different types in the appropriate context, it means exposed to smell of a flower when he is taken to a garden, or to the sound of a vessel or pressure cooker while he is in the kitchen at meal time. Then he also learns to interpret visual cues, olfactory cues and auditory cues. For instance, the smell of the food in the dining room will tell him that he is going to have his lunch, or the sound of water falling in the bucket will tell him that he is going to have a bath. A few more examples of auditory cues are singing a particular song every day before an activity, singing a song about a birdie eating before mealtime, or a song about fish splashing in water before bath time. These auditory cues may also involve saying specific keywords like wash or lunch to prepare the child for the next action. Intervention should help the child develop communication skills which involves active interaction, bonding through physical closeness and going through pleasurable activities together gives the children the sense of security required to interact with the world around. Massage helps in forming trusting relationship. The child also feels secure enough to start interacting with the people around if he knows what will happen next. He can give him or her an idea of coming even by using different types of cues, that is tactile cues, smell cues, visual cues or auditory cues. A fixed daily routine and a consistent physical environment also helps a child in anticipating what his day is going to be like. It is important to consider the child's comfort and preference while deciding upon the cues. The child's environment is responsive when the people around understand his needs and take steps to satisfy them. When they respond to his little gesture and movements appropriately, when they take interest in him and play or talk with him frequently, or when they reward him with warmth and praise for slightest achievement, then the child is in responsive environment. If a child with visual impairment and additional disabilities is in such an environment from the beginning, he starts trusting others and feels motivated to interact with them. If on other hand, he is surrounded by the people who are not sensitive to his needs and fail to give him timely help and attention, then he withdraws in his own world, feeling lonely and confused. Be observant and try to find out whether the child is uncomfortable or needs something whenever you notice some change in facial expression, movement, posture or sound. Children with deaf blindness often express their needs in a very subtle way. A slight change in a facial expression, a small body movement or a little sound may mean something. Maybe he is wet or wants to be picked up or wants more of the song you were singing to him and so on. These little changes in his body language are often so unique that you are likely to misinterpret them. For an example, if the child turns away slightly while you are talking to him, you may feel he is disinterested, but he may be actually trying to look at you from a better angle. It is therefore important to interpret them correctly and respond to them appropriately. If you respond consistently, the child will know that by giving these little signals, he gets what he wants and he will use them more and more. Ask the mother to let him know that she is around by touching or talking to him. Talk to him in between about what is going on. Let him play with some functional object if he likes, such as a spoon, an empty container, a small utensil, a little dove, a comb, a piece of cloth or anything else. In this way, the mother will be able to attend to him more frequently and he will receive all types of sight, sound and smell from the environment. Many times, child's movements or vocalization may not mean anything. You should still reward these behavior patterns through touch, baby talk or imitation. If you do so consistently, the child begins to realize that he can get your attention by doing something. He is then likely to repeat that behavior. If you start talking to the child whenever he vocalizes, after some time he may start vocalizing purposefully when he wants you to talk to him. Since it is beneficial to maintain a consistent routine for a child with a deaf blindness, we sometimes make the mistake of being over rigid in the steps we follow during an activity or the way we plan his day. It is important to provide a structured environment to these children. But within the framework of the basic structure, it is always advisable to let the child make some choices. If during the playtime, for an example, instead of planning by ourselves what he is going to play, we let him choose whether he wants to go on the slide or wants to play with the ball, this will only encourage him to be more expressive about his likes and preferences. Similarly, giving choices between two toys, two songs, two stories, two games or even two food items, it means keeping the nutrition intake in mind, is always helpful in encouraging the children with more than one disability to be more communicative. It is important to help these children explore both the options well touch, manipulate, smell. If they want, look at it from a suitable distance or an angle. Before they are expected to come up with a choice, children who have already learned to communicate through movement or vocalization can be encouraged to use speech if they have a good hearing by interpreting their favorite activity. It is a term used to describe methods of communication which can be used to add to the more usual methods of communication, including speech and writing when impaired. Alternative and augmentative communication is otherwise known as AAC. The AAC includes unaided systems such as signing and gesture as well as aided techniques ranging from picture charts to the most sophisticated computer technology currently available. AAC can be a way to help someone understand as well as the means of expression. Augmentative and alternative communication strategies assist people with severe communication disabilities to participate more fully in their social roles, including interpersonal interaction, learning, education, community activities, employment, recreation, home management and so on. The purpose of augmentative and alternative communication is to assist the child in attaining the quality of life that approaches the level of satisfaction and meaningfulness that would have been possible if the child did not have a communication disability. It includes facial expression, eye pointing, that is looking hard at the object or a person you want. The next thing is gesture, signing, special symbols, spelling out a message on a letter board or a computer and electronic speech output aids. The there are two main types of AAC system. One is unaided and another one is aided. Most people who use augmentative and alternative communication use a combination of unaided and aided method. This is how we describe method of communication that do not involve a piece of additional equipment, body language, gesture, pointing, eye pointing, facial expression, vocalization, sign language and MacTone are example of unaided method of augmentative communication. Aided communication. This is how we describe methods of communication which involve additional equipment such as a picture chart, a computer or a special communication aid. Aided methods of augmentative communication may be low-tech or high-tech. Both low and high-tech system can be used by people who are unable to spell or read, as well as by people who are highly literate. Low-tech communication system may take many forms and are anything you can use which does not need a battery to function. Low-tech communication system include a pen and paper to write messages, alphabet charts, charts and books with picture symbols or photos and tangible symbols. When a student does not seem to understand or anticipate a routine schedule or steps of activities, we use a concrete object or a picture schedule. A schedule using objects, parts of object, pictures or symbols can be an useful tool to help a student begin to understand and anticipate the events of the day or the steps of a specific activity. The items are presented in the order in which they will occur. It means or need to be completed. They are then crossed out, covered up or put away as each one is completed. Developing a communication foundation for learning is a priority. Typically, communication is a tactile in nature using signals, objects, gestures and later on sign language or a tactile symbols or some combination of forms. Language is developed through the use of routine, calendar systems or discussion boxes. The use of print, pictures and demonstration will be of value to this child depending on her vision loss. The child may first need to be moved co-actively through an activity to know what is expected of her. After she understands what is expected, this support could be furthered to avoid building prompt dependence.